Hi there, so let's begin. This is my first time doing configuration and Webpack in WordPress, so bear with me if I do make some mistakes. I will, some may be intentional, some not, but just bear with me. And if you haven't done any Webpack before, this will be a good introduction to you too. So before I start, let me go to my WordPress installation. That can be any installation of WordPress you have, because we'll do just some simple testing and create the plugin. Let me show you. This is my plugin Webpack-WP, and then we can create a new file with the same name, of course, and just let's type some plugin name such as Webpack test plugin, and that's actually it. And before we even start, let's go do something else. Let's create a new folder. I'll call it assets, like that. And then let's create a folder JS and create a folder CSS. Okay, and inside here, well, when creating a plugin, right, I like to have the admin and public divided. So let's create a new file and save it as admin.js, and create a new file and save it as public.js. Okay, and the admin.js won't have anything, it's just here so I can show you how to use multiple files together. And in this public.js, let's use the use strict, and then let's create a function that will use jQuery. Okay, we will use jQuery because that's pretty common in WordPress. And let's make sure that the DOM has been loaded already, and let's console log loaded, and that's it. Okay, and inside our plugin we need to enqueue that, right? So let's add an action, wp enqueue scripts, and add, let's say, webpack wp.js, something random, right, because this is just a test. Okay, and then let's enqueue our script. Let's call it webpack.js. Let's use the plugin directory URL for the file, and then we'll also append our assets JS and public.js. Okay, for now. And then let's also create an array of dependencies. It will be jQuery, and then the version null, and we'll want that to be in the footer, right? Okay, save it. Let's now go to our plugin. Let's reload it because we didn't have the plugin name before, and let's scroll a bit, scroll. Okay, this is I'll deactivate the one that I used to test this before even doing this, and let's scroll a bit again, but where it is? Okay, here, Webpack test plugin. Great, now we have it. Let's now go to our front page and let's check if the public.js has been loaded. It has. Great, and now we can move on, correct? Great. Let's now go here. So what do we need to do here? First, you will need to have the node and npm. Okay, if you don't have, well, let's just go to Google and let's say install node, and then you have a bunch of tutorials, but here it is. So downloads, use this, whatever you need, install it, and you'll have everything. As you can see, it also includes npm, and I see that I have an older version, but never mind, it will work just fine from this tutorial. Okay, so if you haven't done that, if you don't have Node or npm, just pause this video, download, install, and do the same here to check. Of course, if you have installed it, close the terminal or command line, exit from that application, and reopen it, and then try it. It should work. And okay, I'll assume you have that, so let's start. First, we'll need to go to our plugin. So my plugin is here, plugins S, right? Webpack VP, correct? Yes. Okay, and the first thing we will do, create a first time version. Great. Okay, this is our simple package, and if we open here, we'll say have this. So you can create a name, add a description. This is our something like a main file, but you can ignore that because we won't use index.js. We will use actually the, let's say, asset.js public as the main file, but never mind. Okay, that's it. We have done, and now what? Well, if we want to use Webpack, we need to install it, right? So we'll just go to our terminal and go to npm install --save dev and Webpack. And now it will install it. And what does this save dev mean? It means that it will install it locally inside our plugin folder and not globally on our system. And that's fine, because when doing various plugins, you might want to install that locally, because with different plugins you might want to use different libraries, and you don't want that to be global. Okay, if we check the package.json, we'll see the dev dependencies are here, Webpack is installed, and now what? How can we process our public JS here? So what we can do, we can just go like this, .node modules, then go to .bin, then go to Webpack, and now we'll use an entry one, which is entry file is our public JS, and the destination file will be, let's say, public. Let's put it in the same spot, let's say like that. Okay, this is done, and here it is, our Webpack compiled JS. Okay, let's now use this minified version in our plugin. Save it. Let's go to our, and let's check loaded. It says loaded. Let's see if it's public minified. Yeah, okay, and we will use that all the time now. Okay, we can go now here. We have this, right? We have this, and yeah, our Webpack is working and we are awesome. But do you really want to type this all the time? Because I'm sure you don't, because this is actually the first time I have typed that. I couldn't bother even while I was learning Webpack to do that. I immediately went to learn how to create scripts, and that's really easy. So what we have to do, we go to the package.json, we can remove this script, we can call one build, and then say we'll say just run Webpack, and that's it. But if we are constantly changing our public JS file, we want this, we want Webpack to watch that file, and on any change recompile it. So let's say another one, which is watch, and then we'll use again, let's call Webpack and pass the watch parameter there and save it. Great. That's now great, and now we can actually go, let's say here, and let's just say npm run watch, and now we have an error. What is it? Because on watch, for watch, we need a configuration file. Sorry for that. And since we haven't passed anything here, as we did here, right? We have passed the entry and the destination, and by running Webpack, we didn't pass that. And Webpack doesn't have any clue what to include, where to put, and similar. So we have got this error. And how to do that? Well, we'll just need to create a configuration file. So let's create another file and we'll call it webpack.config.js. Okay. Now I'll just paste the code that is in the manual, in the Webpack manual, where you can see it from getting started. And since this is fine, we have the entry one, the output, but this is wrong and this is wrong, right? So let's change it. We have two files in the assets, admin and public.js. So we need to have two entry points. Let's just clear that. And then let's say for the name admin, we'll use the assets.js admin.js, and for the public, we'll say public name will be public, and then we'll use assets.js public.js. Save it. And now when you have two entry points or more, you need to, we can use just the bundle, because Webpack will go through admin and save it as bundle, then we'll go to public and then again save it as bundle and overwrite the admin part. So what we want to do, we want to save name, so this name will be included, dot, and we'll say min.js, because we have already the public minified version, and we don't want this to go to a dist directory, right? We want it to go to the same one, which is assets.js. And then let's save that. Let's now try and run watch. Wow, everything's working, and now you can see that the public and admin.js are here. So if I load it to say, go to public, it's already minified, right? Everything's working, great. So now we have our watch and we have the entry points. So what's next? Well, maybe we want to use the new shiny things from the ES6, maybe ES7 or right later on, but let's now learn how to do that with ES6. So if you go here, you can stop by Ctrl+C, you can stop the script, and now we can move on. Let's say npm install. We need the Babel loader, because Webpack is using loaders to load additional libraries that enhance Webpack functionalities and similar things. Then we'll use the Babel core node module, which is a library, and Babel preset env, and then also pass the save dev, so we are installing them locally. Hit enter, and now we'll just have that all extracted in our node modules. Great, we have them, but that's not enough, because again Webpack is using the Webpack config file to know what to use. And if we are going to use this Babel, then we need to have some rules that Webpack will understand. So add the module, And here are several other stuff we can put in. First, we'll just use the rules, and that is actually a classic array which will contain various objects. And the first one, the first rule, will be the test. So each file that ends with JS will be considered for this rule and applied. Then we'll use the exclude, because we don't want the JavaScript files from node modules. There are a lot of them and we don't require them. And for some reason, if you are using Babel, we don't want that either there. Okay, so I hope I've written a good exclude, or I'll have a lot of compiled stuff. Then let's use, and we'll say for the loader, use the Babel loader. And for options, you can pass additional loaders like ES 2.15 or something, but let's use this one for now and save. Okay, we have now saved it, and we can try if it works. So npm run build, and we have an error. What's an error? Whoa, lots of errors. Cannot find Babel preset. Save it. Let's try again. Great, it's running, everything's running. JS has passed through it, and we have now this. You can see the ES model here, and great. I'm really happy how this goes, but we don't want this minified version to actually not be minified, right? That's kind of stupid, I think. So we need to have an Uglify plugin installed, and the plugins are not the same as loaders. They're used to enhance already compiled files. At least that's how I think so. But I guess they can be used probably for something else, but I haven't yet found what. So let's begin. First, we need to type npm install. Let's make sure that it will be saved locally, and use the Uglify JS Webpack plugin. So this is plugin actually written just for Webpack, if I have understood correctly. And to use plugins, we need to pass them inside a plugin array, which is here. So plugins, and this is the array where we can pass them. But before that, we need also to use them, right? To require them. So this is here, Uglify JS plugin, and we are requiring this plugin. And now what do we need to do? We'll just go here, and as a new entry, we'll just initialize this plugin. Just like that. Okay, let's save that. Let's now, whoa, no, sorry about that, my mistake. We already have that. Let's use the npm run build. Okay, so this has been done, and if we check the public min, the admin minified version, they are really minified. Great. So now we have that. And what about CSS? How can we process CSS in Webpack? Because if we are using Webpack, I don't want to use Gulp or Grunt or any other task managers just to process CSS. Because why? Why would anyone do that? I don't see a reason, but if there is one, please do tell me, because I want to know that. Okay, let's move on. So how can we use CSS in JavaScript? Pretty simple. Let's go here. Let's create new CSS. Let's just add body, display none important, so we will be sure that it works if we don't see anything on our page. Let's save it and let's name it just simple as style CSS. Okay, great. But we won't use this to enqueue it. We'll import it in our public.js. On the new line, add import CSS from, let's move for one folder up, go to style CSS and save it. Let's just save it and let's run to check it. npm run build. Okay, we have an error. And what is this? So it says unexpected token because the Webpack doesn't know yet how to process this, because this isn't JavaScript, this is CSS, right? So we need to instruct Webpack to process that. And how do we do that? Well, we need to install a style loader, because style loader will convert JavaScript, the CSS written in JavaScript to CSS. So Node and Webpack will know that that is CSS and not JavaScript. So, and for CSS we of course need to install the CSS loader. So Webpack knows that that string that is not JavaScript is actually CSS. So let's go and create npm install save dev, then style loader and CSS loader. Okay, click, go enter, not click, and just wait a little. So these are two loader that needs to be extracted and installed. Great. And as before with the Babel loader, we need to instruct Webpack to use it. And since this is not JavaScript but CSS, we need two new rules. The first one will be find me all those that are ending with CSS that are imported. Use the loader, the style loader, so that Node will compile it, will understand this, that this is not JavaScript. And that's it. And now we also want this to use new test. Again, if you find the CSS and then use the loader CSS loader. So now our CSS has been compiled and understood that this is not JavaScript. Now it will understand that this is CSS. And also, let's do another one, minimize to true. Let's minimize it, right? Okay. I hope I don't have any errors now. Let's go and run npm run build and let's see what happens. Okay, this is it, but again, this isn't that, right? If we go here, we don't have anywhere, but let's load our page. Okay, what has just happened? So Webpack includes, when Webpack requires the public.js part, it also requires CSS. But as he now knows that this is CSS not JavaScript, it will be put somewhere else. So let's check body, and you see body display non-important, and you see that there is no spaces as we had in here. We have spaces all around here, but on this part we don't have any spaces. So this is minified CSS but inline inside our head element. And that is how Webpack works. It inlines the CSS. Okay, that's fine, right? But today, nowadays, I don't really write regular CSS. I actually use SASS or SCSS or less, right? So how do we do that? Well, again, now, since we are using Node here to process everything, we need Node to understand how to process SASS, and also we need the Webpack how to deal with SCSS part, right? So let's go and use this. let's make sure that we will install them locally, and we will use the SASS loader for Webpack, and then we'll use also node SASS, so our node will understand how to process SASS. Let's click enter, and now again there are two libraries that they need to download. Okay, everything is done, great. Now we need to go to our Webpack config.js, and now before this style loader we'll add a new one. Okay, so the test is, let's find any SCSS and then use this. So we will have an array, and then inside of it we'll say, well, use loader, that is style loader, right? Then after that use another loader, this is CSS. So what will be here, what will be done here, we'll process the CSS in JavaScript as to understand that this is not a JavaScript but a style. Then we'll use the CSS, and after that also process that CSS as SASS and compile it to CSS, right? Okay, save it. And now of course we don't have anything here that is using CSS, but let's change this to SCSS. Let me just go here. Okay, we have now changed that to SCSS, and then go to public and use SCSS. Okay, let's now go and npm run build. We have an error. What's an error? Unexpected token somewhere, and where is that actually? I'm not sure, but we will soon know what's happening. So let's go to Webpack config and see. SCSS is fine, and the use, here we don't have a comma, and let's see if that's the reason. Yeah, that was the reason. Okay, we can have this, everything's fine. Let's see if it works again. Great, it works. So this is it, but now we didn't minify it, you see. And okay, we have now everything here, but why would we do this? We actually don't need this. We would like to have that CSS in a separate file so that another developer can include another one after that file and override some of our CSS properties. So we actually want this in a separate file, and to do that we need another plugin for Webpack. So this time again type npm install. Let's make sure that's locally, and we use extract text Webpack plugin. Text, not test. Text Webpack plugin. Hit enter. Okay, and let's go here. Let's check web. It's here. Great. Now we can move on. So the first thing, I'll just copy it here and explain it, so you can pause the video and copy it. So we will require an extract as we had with uglify, and then we'll create that and pass the file name. So the file name will be name. For each name we have, since our CSS is in public, it will use that public name, this one, and name it like that. So we can now go here, and you may think it's over, but it's not, because if you remember, we use this here to be used inside. So we need to pass this, add a comma here since that is an array, and add that. But that's also not entirely true. We need to specify a test, a role that will use that loader. So now we won't use this for our CSS, but we will use extract CSS and then tell it to use the method extract, but with some properties. We'll specify another use, and then we'll say like that. So no, sorry, add also an object, right, like that, and then use the loader, our CSS loader, to process CSS, add options to that, minimize to true, and then we can go here and add another one. So we can actually use that like that, so it's nicer. And add another one. So now we'll add the loader SASS loader. And we can also specify a fallback system. And that is style loader. We can save that. Okay. Everything is here. Now we can try and run npm run build. There's an error. What's an error? Unexpected token. So we have options without. Okay. Let's try it again. Everything's compiled as I see, and if you see now in your CSS we have this. So now if I load our page, the CSS is not loaded with Webpack inline, but actually we will need to use this and just wp enq style, and actually enq our style. So again we'll use the same one here, like that, CSS and CSS. Save it, now load it, and here it is. We loaded that as a separate CSS. And that's it. With some other loaders in Webpack, if it's not that, but another one maybe, or something else, you may require to use to define external libraries, because for some loaders they will require everything to be defined. So let's say if this is not defined, they won't know what's that. So how do we do that? Well, we can go to Webpack and let's say here or somewhere you can use other stuff. So you can just say externals like that, and then say the name jQuery, and you'll pass a jQuery library because that's globally accessible. And then inside your files you will need to use this name, such as this. So you'll just say import jQuery, and that's it. Now that we have imported that, this globally defined jQuery is now available through this jQuery because we have put that jQuery here. And that's it. So I hope you have learned something new or not. And if you know much more than this, much more complicated setup, please let me know because I want to learn more. And I hope you had fun.